Good morning and welcome to the show, and it's a Gazzetta Football Italia without Paul Gascoigne this week, I'm afraid. He's currently at home in bed recovering from a particularly nasty virus and may possibly miss tomorrow's game against Torino. We wish him the best for a speedy recovery, of course. In the meanwhile, though, we have our usual action-packed hour of entertainment for you, and to start us off, here's Kenneth with all the details.
Coming up, highlights of one of the season's big derby games, Sampdoria against Genoa. James Richardson delves behind the week's headlines. All the goals from Sunday's Serie A. Win a trip to Italy in this week's competition. Follow the Italian club's progress in Europe. And a behind-the-scenes look ahead to Sunday's live game, Inter Milan versus Sampdoria. But first, James Richardson reports on how Dez Walker is settling into his new life in England.
Every day comes sun, rain or snow, or given that this is Genoa, probably all three of the above, Sampdoria are here at their training ground outside Genoa, honing their skills and learning their schemes. Out there with them is England's very own Dez Walker. Now, while David Platt and Paul Gascoigne have been hitting the headlines all over the place, we haven't heard too much so far from Dez, so we thought we'd take him out to lunch and find out how he's getting on with life by the seaside.
Non lo so, per lei?
Io prendo spaghetti alle pomodoro.
Spaghetti al pomodoro?
Io ho sentito che qui c'è un piatto con pesto che è una specialità.
Sì, trofiettine al pesto, sì, sì.
Allora sì, io prenderò uno di questi.
Vino?
Per me no.
Benissimo, grazie.
So, Dez, here we are. You've become totally Italian, I can see. We're here in this Italian restaurant, supping the local produce. Are you 100% Italian? Have you become Dezo Walker?
I think in the 3 or 4 months I've been here, I've learned to think Italian, and I think the idea of it is to try and be Italian. You feel more at home like that way, and I think the players and the people around here have helped me a lot to try and get accustomed to my new lifestyle.
Before the first game of the season, which was against Lazio, which we had on Channel 4, do you have a lot of tension thinking, what have I got myself into? This is really going to be the biggest test I've faced yet?
I think I came here primarily because I wanted a test and I wanted to see what Italian football was about. I'd heard a lot about it and I'd seen all the great players playing over here, so I was apprehensive for the first game, but I was really looking forward to it. It was like the biggest game of my life. Do you know what I mean? To walk in there and walk out on the stadium and say, well, I'm here now to see how it's going to go.
Coming up in Genoa will be another big game, one of the biggest of the season, in fact, for Dez and the team, the Genoa-Sampdoria derby.
Over the years, it's just been a special occasion where you get in your mind, it's nearly like the fans think, well, we'd rather you not lose every game, but you've got to win this game, which as a professional, you don't think like that. But I think when you get on that pitch and you sense the crowd, you've got that feeling you'll die rather than lose the game. I think derby games are like that. They're just special games for the fans. Speaking to the players, they've told me that you'll never experience nothing like a Sampdoria-Genoa game. So I'm quite looking forward to it. For me, it'll be a new experience, but I'm looking forward to it.
With the addition of Dez Walker this summer, Sampdoria's defence was hailed as one of the finest in Serie A. But although the Englishman himself has earned consistently good reviews, the Sampdoria's defence is looking unexpectedly uncertain. Things haven't been helped by the absence of Pietro Viacawad, out for last Sunday's 4-0 loss to Fiorentina and set to miss the next 2 weeks with a lung complaint.
But I think we struck up a reasonable partnership. We knew what each other was going to do, and that, as a partnership, that's very, very important. I think you bring a new player in and you've got to try and work out exactly how he plays and to try and get a partnership struck up. I think primarily the first game was difficult, and I think Pietro's not only a great player, I think he's got a great stature on the pitch. And I think we missed that and we will continue to miss it. But I think the players we've got a good enough squad, and the players who come in, I think we can do just as well.
Just how well Sampdoria will do this year, Dez reckons it's still too easy to tell. He's reserving judgment until after the club's long-awaited match with Milan.
Well, I think we're a good enough team. We'll be up there. I think if you can beat Milan, then you've got a chance. I think it all depends on the game against Milan in terms of the championship, because I think they're unbeaten. They've been unbeaten for a year and a half now. So the team that beats them have got a good chance, but not only for confidence to build on that success, but of also winning the league, I think, because they've got to be beaten to be toppled.
Sampdoria's chance to topple Milan was supposed to come in week 4. However, that game is still yet to be played. The game postponed shortly before kickoff after some unforeseen meteorological circumstances.
Well, I think as we got in the bus, you didn't expect nothing of the sort. As we got to the ground, you realised how much water was in the ground. I think it was like 7 or 8 feet high. So, but I've never seen rain like it. It comes as a complete surprise to me. In 1 hour, how much damage can be done?
It was all in just 1 hour?
In 1 hour, the game was called off, like it was 4 or 5 feet of water.
The weather aside, Dez now declares himself more than settled in and very contented in his new Mediterranean home. So how does he fill his free time?
Oh, I think there's various things to do. The town's still new to me, so I can just walk around the town, walk along the seafront. I think the players never leave me at home for 1 minute. You can go out for meals, they take me out here. I think one of the goalkeepers just invited me, his mum's come over from Bologna, if I want to go for a meal on Friday with his mum. So you keep yourself very, very occupied. In fact, sometimes you don't find enough hours in a day.
What do they call you here? There's not a nickname they have for you or anything, is there?
Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker whiskey. They do play pranks on you. They tell you words that you're not really supposed to be saying and like teaching you. And it's the same at all clubs. I think it's the same in England. I think you come into a squad and there's 22 players, 23 players, and you go away. There's always pranks being played on everyone. I think a footballer's mentality and character is the same all over the world. So, as I say, it's been fun. It's been great experience, and I hope it carries on being a great experience.
Well, I must admit, it was a pretty great experience for me too, lunching and talking with one of England's greatest footballing ambassadors. Dez is off training again now, getting ready for Sunday's big game. It's his first Genoa derby, but after what he's already achieved this season for Sampdoria, few have any doubts that Johnny Walker Whiskey will handle it.
The 45th Genoese derby between Genoa and Sampdoria should be destined for a draw if you go by the form books. 7 out of the last 10 meetings of these two teams in Serie A have ended level, while to emphasise the point, Genoa have drawn all but one of their matches in the league this year. Pietro Viekovod is still missing for Sampdoria. He has a lung infection. Marco Lana has recovered from an ankle injury picked up in training, while Dez Walker is the anchor at the heart of the Sampdoria defence, reputed to be the fastest back four in Italian football. Genoa are unchanged from the team which beat Pescara 4-3 last week, when number 11 Onorati scored twice and Igor Dobrovolsky, a Russian, scored on his Serie A debut after being sidelined through injury for the first 5 weeks of the season. The referee for this important occasion is Marcello Nicchi from Tuscany. Both Genoa and Sampdoria have taken 8 points from their opening games this season. Although Sampdoria do have a match in hand over Genoa, it's Sampdoria playing from right to left in the first half, and the playing surface shrouded in mist after fireworks and crackers exploded on the arrival of the two teams from the dressing room area. Manini then fires it forward for Sampdoria. Genoa went out of the Italian Cup in midweek, losing 5-3 on aggregate to Juventus, so they need a little bit of a lift here, and what a chance they have to do that against their old enemy. Manini with a free kick for Sampdoria. Manini recently drafted into the Italian squad, one of the elder statesmen now of Italian football. Caricola, the stopper in the Genoa defence. Six is Carini. Manini again. He is reputed to be the fastest player at the club, Manini. Onorati helps it forward. Scaravi involved inevitably. Van Schip calling for the ball on the near side, and he has it too. Ruotolo goes the return, but it never got there. Lombardo, shoulder to shoulder with Bortolazzi. The free kick goes the way of Sampdoria, who technically are the home team today. They remember both these sides play their home games here. 11 for Sampdoria is in Vinizzi. Dez Walker. He's played in one or two derbies, but Nottingham Forest against Notts County hardly compares with Genoa against Sampdoria. And Sampdoria have this free kick now, following that foul by the captain of Genoa, Signorini, making his 100th Serie A appearance for his club today. Chiesa, the man who was hauled down. And it's the captain of Sampdoria, Roberto Mancini, standing over the free kick. 2 minutes gone, still 0-0. Fortunato got in the way, and it's gone in. It's the blue half of the city who celebrate the opening goal. Mancini thumped the free kick in hard and low, and Fortunato was the unfortunate defender who got in the way. 1-0 to Sampdoria. Nannini almost ran out of space. Gave the ball away rather disappointingly there for Sampdoria. Dobrovolski. And once again, Genoa stretched. Mancini on the left. Genoa complaining that the ball touched Mancini last. That shouldn't have been a corner. Caricola arguing till the last. And could argue his way into the referee's notebook. In fact, it's going to be a free kick to Sampdoria, and that's exactly what upset Caricola. Lana, 2-0. Nobody tracked the big man's run. And Sampdoria have shot into a 2-goal lead now. Lana making his 100th Serie A appearance. Genoese through and through, and how he'll love that goal. The only Genoa-born player in the Sampdoria team, and how ironic that he scored in this important game. As you can probably guess, those are Sampdoria fans. Bortolazzi. Is Onorati. There's a neat ripple of passes. Padovano free on the left. Oh, he's pulled a goal back. Is it too late for Genoa? There are 12 minutes of the game remaining. And Padovano, with this neat piece of skill, played that delightful 1-2 with Dobrovolski, and that was an unstoppable shot past Pagliuca. Genoa have craved this goal from the moment Fortunato's own goal gave Sampdoria the lead. Lombardo helps it through. Jugovic is through here, round the goalkeeper, and squeezes it in, and wins the game for Sampdoria. It's party time in the Luigi Ferrari Stadium. Party time for the blue and whites. Tremendous goal by Vladimir Jugovic, and he had the presence of mind to take it wide of Tacconi, and from the tightest of angles hit the target. And that mini revival of Genoa appears to have come to an end as Dez Walker hooks that one clear. Here's Bertarelli. who's replaced Lombardo in this match. He finds the other substitute, Serena. All Sampdoria have to do now is to hang on to possession. Jugovic waiting in the middle. Here is Jugovic. Bertarelli. That's 4. The goal coming on the stroke of full time. And Sampdoria substitutes comes on to make a telling impact on their victory. Good finish by Bertarelli as Jugovic tried to hook it home. He came off Fortunato and into the path of Bertarelli. And Bertarelli's first goal in Serie A is virtually the last kick of the game. It was never like this at the City Ground. Dez Walker celebrates with Pagliuca, a famous victory for Sampdoria, who were ahead inside 2 minutes courtesy of an own goal. They made it 2-0 through Marco Lana's header, and despite the fact Genoa pulled a goal back, 2 late goals makes it 4-1 to Sampdoria at full time.
Now James Richardson with all the news of the week.
Well, as hardened Gazzetta football viewers will know, this is the week that the Italian football market opened for 11 days, and with the big difference this year that players already active this season can still be traded. Genoa's goalkeeper Stefano Tacconi is subject to the fiercest rumours. 17 goals in 8 games is a bit more than the club had bargained for when they bought him, and unpopular as he is with the team's supporters, stories now have him heading for Bologna of Serie B or Serie C's Perugia. Well, still on the subject of trades, there's been a lot of confusion this week over Milan's purchase of Dennis Bergkamp, the Ajax star who was on the score sheets yet again on Wednesday night in their UEFA Cup game. Milan have denied the report, saying that a decision won't be reached until next March, but in this week's Italian papers, Johan Cruyff, who was to have added Bergkamp to his Barcelona squad, has been saying that a decision has definitely been taken, perhaps unofficially. Bergkamp will go to Milan. Well, confusion as well after the cancellation of Lazio's proposed friendly against Bayern Munich and Maradona. The Italian Federation vetoed the idea of the Argentine playing for one of their clubs, and the idea is now instead for Lazio to host Sevilla and Maradona here in Rome sometime between the 10th and the 17th of this month. The big problem with that idea is the fact that Maradona still owes the Italian government £2.5 million in unpaid taxes, and so as a result is understandably reluctant to re-enter the country. Meanwhile, though, Lazio have delivered what's been described as a kick to the prices. For tomorrow's game against Torino, they've gone a bit MFI. They've slashed their ticket prices by up to 60%. And what this means, for example, is that a seat in the exclusive Monte Mario Tribuna, which normally would cost you £60, has fallen to just £25. Beat that, courts. However, back now to last Sunday's action and the draw between Milan and Torino. Milan had earned themselves the nickname of the Martians for their dominance over Serie A, but on Sunday, as the Corriere dello Sport put it, Milan came down from the spaceship. I think I'll have a pint of what they're having. The game wasn't liked by everyone. Kevin Costner, who was Berlusconi's guest at the San Siro on Sunday, said he detests 0-0 draws. It's a shame then that he didn't stick around till Wednesday night for Milan's game against Slovan Bratislava at the San Siro, but more about that game later. For now, though, we'll finish with the week's biggest story, the return of Baresi to the national team. Now, you remember that a month ago, Baresi gave his unconditional and permanent resignation from Italy's national team, saying that the pressures had all got too much. On Monday, though, he announced he was changing his mind. He'd be returning to the national team after all. He apologised to his fellow players for all the fuss and explained that he'd become so moody at home that his wife actually asked him to reconsider his decision. There's been a lot of controversy in the last few days about just what did actually cause this change of heart in Baresi, but for the most part the reaction has been one of immense relief and gratitude, especially after that game against Switzerland. Corriere dello Sport's headline was "Grazie Baresi," thanks Baresi, and that's pretty much summed it up. Everyone's really very thankful for the return of a great defender. Well, we're going to be taking a short break now, after which we ourselves will be making a return to an equally clamorous reception, no doubt. We'll have all last weekend's goals from Serie A, highlights from the Italian club's European Cup games, and a competition to win a computer game, and a trip to Italy. That's all in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back. Our competition next. But first, a roundup of the weekend's goals.
In Bergamo, Atalanta were hoping to end Napoli's recent revival, but the home side were behind from this header from Daniel Fonseca. It was Jonas Turn's cross which allowed the Uruguayan to bag his 7th league goal of the season after 7 minutes. However, Napoli's lead was short-lived. Maurizio Gans connected with Minado's cross, and Carlo Perroni was on hand to convert the rebound. With the spotlight firmly fixed on Napoli's South American strike force, it was Gans who went on to steal the show. Napoli's deficiencies in defence were constantly exposed. Rambaudi's shot deserved better here. Although 7 minutes into the second half, Atalanta were ahead. Rambaudi and Gans combine effectively. Napoli's defenders are hardly helping coach Claudio Ranieri's future prospects. Napoli's attacking potential can't be questioned. Only the brilliance of Fabrizio Ferron kept out Zola and Fonseca. Well, now a contender for goal of the week. Rambaudi teases 3 Napoli defenders before finding Gans. He embarrasses Carboni before placing the ball wide of Galli. It's his 5th of the season. Rambaudi and Gans are fast developing a fine understanding. Napoli will hope their defenders will eventually find an understanding of their own. Napoli had time for one more chance, but Ferrara's goal proved merely a consolation. 3-2 then to Atalanta. Napoli now face a crucial week. A visit to Paris Saint-Germain and then a fixture against Milan, which will determine the future of coach Ranieri. Free-scoring Fiorentina have only ever defeated Cagliari once in Sardinia, and their jinx was to continue once Bresciani, making his first full appearance of the season, was given time to... Fiorentina's vulnerability in defence will need correcting if they are to sustain a serious challenge for the title. Fiorentina shrugged aside their problems. They won a free kick on the edge of the penalty area because of the foul on Karobi, and Batistuta makes it 1-1. The Argentinian is in a rich goal-scoring vein at the moment. Francescoli then decided to take on the Fiorentina defence single-handed. If only the finish could match the run. Moments later, the Uruguayan raced clear again, and unmarked Oliveira on his right will be unhappy with his teammate. Reserve goalkeeper Manini then saved bravely from the Brazilian. Cagliari were tipped for one of the relegation places at the start of the season. They're now beginning to believe in their hopes of a UEFA Cup place. Final score then 2-1 to Cagliari, and they move into the top half of the table. Next, Roma against Brescia. Roma in the red, and Roma lavished hospitality on their guests, gifting them an own goal through Benedetti. 4 minutes later, Brescia managed to score their own. Giunta's cross is converted by Saurini. Saurini used to play his football here for Lazio. The old boy was back with a goal. Charity now from the Brescia goalkeeper Landucci, as he offers Giannini a chance to pull one back. This is Italian football's version of a double whammy. First Carnevale, and then Giannini failed to convince the official that they'd been fouled. Sabao was busy testing the reflexes of Cevoni. Cevoni was soon beaten again. He allows the ball to fly past him via a post to Saurini, who makes it 3-0. The goalkeeper Cevoni gives a fair impression of a pedestrian missing the bus, as Giunta's near-post shot beats him. By this time, Brescia were old hands at hitting the frame of the goal. Hagi going close here. It was a day when Mihajlovic's free kicks were flying the wrong side of the upright. On the stroke of half-time, Roma managed a goal. It's 3 against 3 in the Brescia box. Muzzi, whose head bandage looks suspiciously like a woman's bathing hat, sees his shot blocked and Carnevali scores. Giannini's audacious backheel is the key to this goal. His flick goes through the legs of the defender. Is that a reverse nutmeg? Second half now, Mihajlovic was still trying to find the range with his free kicks. But on the hour, Roma score again. Benedetti scrambles the ball over the line. There's a strong suspicion of handball by Carnevali there, who strangely is credited with the goal. Now, if you want to stamp on somebody's heels, here's how. Scanardi, the recipient of a sore foot. Giannini, the recipient of a red card. Mihajlovic's long-range shooting continued to cause problems for Brescia. Carnevali and Cormi almost force an equaliser. Cormi, who normally plays at the heart of the defence, was doing his best to make it 3-3. As Roma threw players forward, Brescia's counter-attacks became more daring. Scanardi wastes a chance to make the game safe. Brescia win 3-2 at Roma. Roma are only 2 places above the relegation zone. Udinese don't play Lazio that often in Serie A. Their last victory over Paul Gascoigne's team was 8 years ago. Gascoigne's free kick finding Riedler's head here. Fiori in the Lazio goal was perplexed by this shot by Delano. Well, coming out one of the big talking points of a physical game. Corino of Lazio might have been sent off for this flouting of the rules. He tracks Balbo's run and then intervenes before Balbo has the ball. But no yellow card, no red card. Paul Gascoigne still looking for his first Serie A goal. He's still looking after this miss. Italian football isn't all short passes. Mattei free down the left, Crevero with the important deflection. Gascoigne and Dole combined to put Udinese's defence on red alert, but it was on-loan goalkeeper Di Sarno who denied the pair. It ended goalless. Lazio have won just 2 of their opening 8 Serie A matches.
More goals later, but now it's competition time on Gazzetta Football Italia. Win a trip to Italy, a brand new soccer computer game and some great runners-up prizes. Just answer a simple question by ringing us on 0891 333 444. Our live game tomorrow features Sampdoria away at Inter Milan. England defender Dez Walker comes face-to-face with one of the most expensive forward lines in Serie A. But from which club did Walker join Sampdoria in the close season? Was it 1. Notts County, 2. Nottingham Forest, or 3. Aston Villa? The first caller picked out by our computer when lines close next Thursday wins this computer pack featuring a new exciting football game. And they'll go into a draw for a dream trip for 2 to the Italian Cup final at the end of the season. And 5 runners-up will win editions of this exciting football game featuring teams in Italian club strips. Last week we asked you to name the stadium which Inter and AC Milan share. The answer? The San Siro. Our lucky winner, Stephen Draper from Burnley in Lancashire. And 5 runners-up, all of whom win editions of our football game. Further details of the competition are carried on page 465 of Foretel, Channel 4's teletext service. It was a good week for Italian clubs in Europe, with AC Milan leading the way. Already a vital away goal up against Slovan Bratislava, they took less than half an hour to increase their lead with Boban's superb free kick. Frank Rijkaard, back after injury, made it 2-0 only a minute later, thundering home this shot. The Dutchman showed lightning reflexes to get in ahead of the defenders. Simoni, who came on for Massaro, made it 3-0 just 4 minutes into the second half, latching onto the rebound after the goalkeeper failed to hold a long-range shot. Jean-Pierre Papin, in for the flu victim Marco van Basten, made it 4 20 minutes from time. It was an excellent cross from Gianluigi Lentini which gave him the chance, and the Frenchman's header was deadly. Milan home 5-0 on aggregate and into the lucrative playoffs. In the UEFA Cup, Roma were involved in a 7-goal thriller in Switzerland. Rizzitelli's 6-minute header helped them build on a 3-0 first-leg lead. And when a recalled Caniggia ran into Hessler's deft through pass and rolled home another, Roma seemed home and dry. Even a penalty from De Vicente for Zurich looked unlikely to disturb them. But 4 minutes into the second half, Alan Suter smashed home a superb 30-yarder. And when Gampel got onto the end of a Yarkin pass, the Grasshoppers were buzzing. The Zurich goalkeeper, Zuber Bühler, got himself sent off, the result of this professional foul on Rizzitelli. But they still believed they were in with a chance when this header by De Vicente hit a post and rebounded over the line. The slow-motion replay shows that the goalkeeper, Cervoni, was desperately unlucky, the ball just brushing his back after he'd pushed it onto the post. When Hessler saw his penalty saved by Brunner, Roma must have wondered if it was to be their night. But time was running out for Zurich, and Rizzitelli finished them off 3 minutes from the end. Roma 6-4 winners on aggregate. The best Italian comeback was that of Parma in the Cup Winners' Cup. Held to a goalless draw at home by the Portuguese side in the first leg, they got off to a flyer when Di Chiara was rewarded for this superb run. Officially it was an own goal by Nogueira, but the Parma player deserves all the credit. Played on a neutral ground because of a UEFA ban on Boa Vista's fans, Parma dominated. But a tough match which saw 6 bookings, 4 of them to Parma, was only settled 11 minutes from time. It was Melli who wrapped it up, getting onto the end of Pin's cross. Now confirmation of other European ties involving Italian sides. Juventus, with David Platt in the lineup, held on to their 1-0 first leg lead to go through. But Napoli, beaten 2-0 at home a fortnight ago, were unable to hit back in Paris and went out. Torino were the final Italian side in action. They also drew 0-0 and were unable to pull back their 2-1 first leg deficit, even though Dynamo Moscow played for most of the second half with only 10 men. So, 4 Italian teams through in the 3 competitions. Now the European Cup splits into a league format, with Milan in this group. Italy's other European contenders faced the following opposition. So exciting times ahead for these clubs, but coming up after the break, our in-depth look ahead to tomorrow's live game, Inter Milan versus Sampdoria. Welcome back. A full Inter versus Sampdoria preview coming up. But first, the rest of Sunday's Serie A goals.
Foggia were looking for their first win over Parma in Serie A. Olivanov's free kick tested Taffarel early on. Parma's Colombian striker Asprilla then carved out this opening. Foggia had a glorious chance to take the lead. Kolivanov's wayward pass failed to find a colleague. As the game wore on, Foggia's pressure increased. Seno was denied by Apolloni. Then he combined with Kolivanov, but Biagioni shot straight at the Brazilian goalkeeper. Fornaciari's challenge on Di Chiara earned the defender a red card for his second cautionable offence. And when a goalless draw seemed inevitable, ex-Foggia defender Matricano clumsily brought down Biagioni. Matricano clearly catches the Foggia forward, so that's a penalty. Biagioni converts a spot kick in the 89th minute for his first Serie A goal. Parma believed they should have had a penalty themselves when Franchini's drive appeared to strike Grandini's arm. But the replay clearly shows the ball hits the fullback's head. Foggia 1, Parma 0, the final score. It's Parma's fourth consecutive away defeat. Ancona's second visit of the season to Turin began miserably. Juventus won up inside 20 minutes, courtesy of Dino Baggio. The fullback, who scored twice in Juve's midweek cup victory over Genoa, now notches his first league goal of the season. Di Canio and Vialli set up De Marchi for Juve's second 6 minutes later, in spite of the wet conditions. It was a defender's first goal in 2 seasons. Roberto Baggio's trickery then set up Gianluca Vialli, whose bicycle kick was saved by Pecoraro. The Italian international duo combining almost to perfection. Slack defending by Lorenzini led to Juve's third, 5 minutes before the break. Di Canio comfortably converts from close range. The winger, who'd missed 3 of the last 4 league games, came into the side for David Platt. Ancona perhaps lacked quality, but their fighting spirit can't be faulted. And Cola's mistake allowed Cento Fanti to pull a goal back after the hour mark. Agostini provided the cross for the substitute to score. Juventus restored their 3-goal advantage 5 minutes later. Roberto Baggio easily slotting past Nista. Dino Baggio's pass finding his namesake, who does well to shrug off the marking of Lorenzini. The Juventus captain, playing in attack, rounded off a fine individual performance with his second and Juve's fifth 4 minutes from full time. It's a tremendous performance by Baggio, and Juventus now back to winning ways following a very difficult week. Final score: Juventus 5, Ancona 1. The San Siro was a setting for Milan's top-of-the-table clash with second-place Torino. First blood nearly to Torino when Aguilera was released by Casagrande, but he shot straight at Antonioli in the Milan goal. Milan had a chance to go ahead soon after when Albertini's free kick was deflected just wide of the upright. Well, Milan's best chance of the first half came right at the death. Maldini's volley just inches from that crucial opening goal. Into the second half now, and Torino's Mussi is sent off for a second cautionable offence after he loses the ball to Lentini and then tugs his shirt right in front of the referee. 10-man Torino were under the yoke from then on, and the home side's pressure nearly paid off. Boban volleyed Van Basten's header down to force a great save from the goalkeeper. Marchigiani was soon involved again when he pushed Albertini's shot just over. Reverse angle does full justice to a quite miraculous save. Boban had another chance to put Milan ahead, but wastefully shot over the top here. Milan just couldn't break down the steadfast Torino defence. Their last opportunity came after the visitors conceded this free kick on the edge of the penalty area for the foul on Van Basten. Boban struck the ball into the defensive wall, and then Albertini screwed a shot across the face of the goal. Marco Van Basten just inches away from a last gasp winner. So Milan stay top of the pile and stretch their unbeaten run now to 42 games. Inter, fresh from their 3-1 win over Juventus, visited Pescara for only their 4th time in Serie A. Rubin Sousa went close early on when Severani neatly saved the free kick. At the other end, Walter Zenga employed the soft shoe shuffle to keep out this deflection off the referee. Inter went ahead in the second half. Igor Shalimov's skill and persistence took him past 2 defenders in a brilliantly contrived and brilliantly executed goal. It was a neat 1-2, followed by a clever finish to give the Russian his 4th goal of the season. Pescara equalised 6 minutes later when Massara volleyed home his 2nd goal of the season. He'd scored his 1st goal against the other Milanese club. Battistini made it 2-1 to Inter a quarter of an hour before the end of the game. That was his 2nd goal of the season too. Inter went 3-1 up when Pescara goalkeeper Savarani went walkabout and allowed Sousa to pass the ball to an unmarked Desideri, who shot home. It was a dubious decision by the goalkeeper, whose position at the club has been under threat all season. The result was sealed when German international Matthias Sammer chipped the ball over Savarani. It was Sammer's 4th of the season, Inter's 4th of the day. They were home and dry. So Inter move into equal 2nd place behind Torino on goal difference.
So Milan and Torino both keep their unbeaten records. Still 2 points separated. Inter's win pushes them into 3rd place above Juventus and Sampdoria. Foggia move up from joint bottom after their last gasp win, but Parma, Napoli and Roma all struggling. Lazio's Giuseppe Signori still hits the scoring list from the overseas challenge of Van Basten, Batistuta and Fonseca. And so to tomorrow's live game, Inter Milan versus Sampdoria. James Richardson assesses the prospects.
This magnificent view is Genoa up on the northwest coast of Italy, birthplace of one of the world's most famous seafarers, Christopher Columbus, and still one of the Mediterranean's largest ports. Now, in football terms, it's currently the proud possession of Sampdoria, who, as you saw earlier, won the Genoa derby in some considerable style, and in the process, they got their season well and truly back on track. Sampdoria are the proud possession of Paolo Mantovani, an oil and shipping magnate who's one of Serie A's best-loved owners. In his 13 years as president, the club has achieved its greatest successes: 2 Italian Cups, a Cup Winners' Cup, and 2 years ago, the Italian Championship. Now, though, after the departure of Vialli and the restructuring of the team around new coach Eriksson, this season Sampdoria are something of an unknown quantity.
This team is still to be discovered. It's too early even for myself. And I would even introduce possibility that even for our coach, which is absolutely first-class gentleman and very capable man.
We have a young team, and we'll see if we can go on like we played last Sunday. 2 weeks ago we had a disaster in Florence, we lost 4-0. So it's a little bit up and down so far, but I hope that we can do a good league.
The jury is still out on Sampdoria after that disaster in Florence. Without veterans Pietro Vercawod and captain Roberto Mancini, a young Samp squad went down flailing, outplayed in just about every aspect of the game. It was the last match of Mancini's suspension, but opinion varies over whether his absence made the difference.
All the team played very badly against Fiorentina, and I think even with Mancini, with that mentality as we had lost the game. Maybe not 4-0, but we had lost it for sure.
Aveva avuto una domenica difficile, una domenica negativa, quindi diciamo che sono partite che possono capitare, sconfitte che ci possono anche stare nell'arco di un anno. L'importante è non perdersi il morale e ricominciare subito, come è successo a noi.
Sampdoria currently find themselves in 4th place in Serie A, part of a group of 5 teams chasing 2nd place in the league. Above them are Inter and Torino, below them Lazio, Fiorentina and Juventus. But just who are the real competition for Milan gets more and more confusing week by week.
Presently, and I hope is just presently, for the fact that Milan seems too strong. So in turn, one of the clubs you mentioned having troubles and losing the chance to be challenger, and to the profit of another one who in turn the subsequent Sunday having a default.
So there's not a shortage of candidates, just consistent ones. We're almost a quarter of a way through this season and Serie A still has yet to find the anti-Milan it seeks. We asked Sampdoria then who they picked as the likely challengers.
Come squadra che può competere con il Milan potrebbe essere, diciamo, il Torino o l'Inter o la Juve, ma non credo che ci siano delle squadre che possono essere anti-Milan, perché penso che il Milan sia una spanna superiore a tutte.
I think it's Juventus. They have maybe the best players, but I hope it will be Sampdoria.
Well, if Juventus has better players, that includes, of course, Gianluca Vialli, the striker who used to be the heart of the Sampdoria side. His friend and ex-teammate Roberto Mancini, however, has a rather more jaundiced view of La Signora's chances.
La Juventus tutti gli anni a inizio stagione, poi dopo puntualmente fa poco. Spende tanto ma fa poco. Penso che abbia una buona squadra, ma non penso in grado di essere all'altezza del Milan.
E l'Inter?
Sì, poi c'è l'Inter, il Torino, la Lazio, la Fiorentina. Queste squadre qua possono dar fastidio probabilmente.
It's still unclear just how far in this race Sampdoria can go. They've yet to find a successor for Vialli, and Mancini is currently the team's only pure striker, backed by a packed and potent midfield. That's the same formation Eriksson will probably be using at the San Siro. He isn't tempted by the more attacking stance used by Roma 3 weeks ago, which exploited the gap between Inter's defence and their midfield to yield a 4-1 victory.
2-3 weeks ago, they had a very offensively midfield. They have the same players in the team always, on the midfield. But the last 2 games, they changed a little bit. They don't attack so much with the midfielders as they did 1 month ago. So that's why they did 2 very good results. They beat Juventus and they won against Pescara away. And I mean, that's extremely good. So I doubt that we can find good spaces in the midfield because they are waiting for us a little bit.
No, deve cercare di mantenere la squadra corta, stare molto attenta a non dare il contropiede all'Inter, che penso sia la loro arma vincente, e poi vedere di sfruttare noi il contropiede quando loro attaccano. Però noi è importante che giochiamo alla nostra maniera e credendo in noi stessi.
We had a minor hiccup against Fiorentina. I think the problems are sorted out, and on Sunday the team gelled together very, very well. I think we'll look forward to the Inter game. It'll be a hard game, but all games are hard. We'll go out there and give it our best, and I think we'll stand a great chance of getting a result.
Well, Dez's confidence was so infectious that we summoned the courage to ask him for a prediction on the game.
No, well, there's no chance of that. I think you can't predict any game. That's why football's such a great game.
Predictions? Sure. If Dez isn't going to give us one, I'm certainly not going to have a go. Sampdoria are more than aware of, firstly, how tough it's going to be for them at the San Siro tomorrow, and also, with all those references to Fiorentina, of how badly they did in their last away game 2 weeks ago. The priority for them tomorrow afternoon will be on concentrating on playing their own game, despite the distractions of the San Siro crowd. If they can manage to do that, they should provide a more effective competition for Inter than Juventus were 2 weeks ago. Whatever, by tomorrow evening we should have a much clearer idea of just who are Milan's official competition in Serie A. Well, Paul Gascoigne unable to be with us, of course, this week, but in his absence we brought on a rather top-class substitute to make a prediction. Here's Beppe Signori, Serie A's leading scorer, with his view on the Inter-Sampdoria matchup.
Inter-Sampdoria è una partita difficile perché sono tra due squadre che domenica hanno vinto tutte e due. Secondo me è una bella lotta. Io credo che questa partita finisca in parità, per cui dico X.
Well, that's it for today. Inter versus Sampdoria tomorrow. Our program kicks off at 1:15.